Can I apply to naturalize if I'm waiting for my 10-year green card? I'm Erick Widman, I'm an immigration lawyer, and if you've received a 2-year green card, you're a conditional permanent resident, and you'll need to remove the conditions on that 2-year card about 90 days before it expires. You have to fill out Form 751, submit that to USCIS, and then you have to wait. Strangely enough, there's been an unreasonably long period of time for these 751s to be adjudicated and issued. And so for some of you, long waits may not be strange, but the last few years, it has been abnormally long for the waiting period. And that's why when you submit Form 751, you get a receipt notice back and USCIS automatically extends the validity of your permanent residence for 18 months. Normally it should not take that long. Maybe 6 to 9 months is reasonable. But there's been a really long wait period, up to 18 months, sometimes more, for those who are applying for 10-year green cards to get those 10-year green cards back and have your conditions removed. So for those of you who also want to become US citizens, and you're married to a US citizen already, you know most likely that you can naturalize at the 3-year mark of being a permanent resident. So instead of the normal 5 years, you could naturalize in 3 years if you're married to a US citizen. And so if you've applied to remove your conditions at the 2-year point, a year later is when you can apply to naturalize. And so you can, in fact, do that and apply to naturalize even though you haven't heard back from USCIS yet about your 10-year green card. You could still be waiting for that green card to be issued, and you can go ahead and apply to naturalize if you're applying 90 days before the 3-year anniversary. So that's fine, and oftentimes it's a good idea to apply to naturalize to help speed up delays. A number of our clients have done this, and what USCIS does, typically the outcome is quite positive. They end up setting up an interview for both the 751 and the N400 naturalization exam and interview. And so what you would want to do is, once you're eligible to naturalize, submit the N400 either online or paper, and the processing time is often less than a year. If you don't receive the 751 interview notice and you only receive an N400 interview notice for citizenship, make sure that you bring your US citizen spouse with you, plus other evidence showing your genuine marriage, because the USCIS officer has to adjudicate the 751 before she can approve your naturalization and go through the test and complete the interview. So what has happened quite a few times with our clients, we will have the N400 interview set up, but they'll be prepared for the 751 removal of conditions interview. They'll attend that with their spouse. They'll prove their bona fide genuine marriage at that interview to the officer. And then the officer will say, okay, thank you, spouse. Now we're going to proceed with the naturalization exam, the full interview, and often the US citizen spouse is excused at that point, asked to leave, and your officer will proceed with the civics test, reading and writing test, and finish the N400 test and full interview with you right there. So you get 2 adjudications on the same day. Therefore, it is worthwhile to consider applying for naturalization at the 3-year point. You don't need to have your 10-year green card in hand. And if you have any other questions about this, feel free to get in touch, and take care.